Hey, how's it going, everybody? Micah here from Wall Street IO, the number one backtesting platform for stock and option traders, with a quick update for you today. It appears that Apple and a lot of the market has started to top off a little bit. Today, we're going to take a look at some longer term indicators that I think give a good gauge for that longer term month over month momentum. So as of right now, you can see Friday, we had a really strong day coming out to new highs. Apple hit $323 and change, reversed, and then sold off and formed a bit of a topping tail. And as you can see, when we just take a quick peek at the SPY, and we'll look at the Qs in a moment, you can see we did start to sell off a little bit on Friday. Okay, we've been compressing for the last week. Friday we gapped higher, sold off, formed what's considered to be a bearish engulfing. This is where the market gaps higher but then sells off, and the body of this day encompasses completely the previous day's body. Bearish engulfing candle. Okay, generally a bearish signal. I'm actually expecting probably even a gap down come Monday morning. Okay, so a little bit on the defensive now, right? We've been bullish and bullish and bullish, but now we have a little bit of caution. Okay, same thing on the Qs, gap higher, brand new all-time highs, sold off, formed a bearish engulfing candle. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a gap down in the morning. Coming back to Apple, okay, a couple things. Now, when we take a look at this pattern that's been forming on Apple, over the last couple months, we've been forming these nice wedges and breaking out from them over and over. In fact, we've had about 4 of them so far. 1, 2, 3, 3 here, 4 here, actually 5 there, a little bit slowing. Some would say that this was it here too, but a couple things to take in consideration. One, when we actually take a look at the candle, we actually didn't close at new highs. We failed to close at new all-time highs. And so while the pattern on a Heikin Ashi looks like a breakout, remember my rules for momentum are, did it hit a new daily high and did it close at a new daily high? That's what you need for momentum. And while we did hit a new high, we failed to close at a new daily high. That's again a bearish signal. Now let's take a look at a longer term indicator. We're actually going to backtest it right here on the Wall Street IO platform. Let's take a look at the MACD. MACD is really good for a longer term, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Okay, so I just loaded up the MACD in our backtester right here. You could see that using default indicator settings. I'm going to go ahead and close the MACD. I'm going to open up the View Stats panel. Take a look at this. So for the last year, the MACD has done a reasonably good job at forecasting both direction and momentum. That's why a lot of people do like the MACD, because it is good for those two things, right? Direction and momentum. That's really what it's designed for. Now, the MACD has been bullish, right, since about the 13th of December. It's been over a month. So we're a little bit, maybe a week, or actually a little bit more than a week over its average, which I think is about a month. It's now crossed the bears. That's interesting, right? Because again, we did hit new highs on Friday, but we closed bearish, and the MACD, which has been slowing down for the last week, actually crossed to the bears on Friday. Now, what that historically means is that when the MACD is crossed to the bears, like it is now, the payday cycles to the upside, the bullish ones, will be shorter in length, and the payday cycles to the downside will probably be a little bit longer. Let's take a quick look at the stats of the MACD, and then we're going to look at what to expect when the MACD is bearish. We'll just take a look at the last few times that's happened. Okay. So the MACD over the last year, beautiful results. We've had 12 trades actually, hugely amazing risk reward of 3.7. The batting average has been 67% using a MACD cross. Actually, that is amazing, right? We've had a tremendous amount of profitability. It's actually an A trade according to our system. Now remember, our platform pushes all these strategies through a 10-factor weighting system, and the MACD by itself over the last year has produced an A rating, which is really good. Now, let's now take a look and see what happened the last couple times Apple had a MACD cross to the downside. I'm going to go back to my Heikin Ashi chart. So let's go ahead and highlight it right here. I'll get rid of that one. And so this is the last time we had a bearish MACD. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what happened in the chart for that time. Okay. All right. Close the MACD a little bit. Let's take a look here. So this is actually the bearish MACD when it crossed back to the bulls, is when we broke out of this first wedge, which is important. Previous to that, we did have a bullish cross. However, it only lasted for 4 days. It was a very short-lived bullish payday cycle right in the middle of the bearish MACD. Also, we had 2 bearish payday cycles during that time frame. Okay, and then the MACD crossed back up to the bulls, and that was actually what catapulted this last big bullish run. Now let's take a look at the last couple times the MACD has crossed. Okay, we had one here as well. I'll just go ahead and highlight these on the chart. So not huge pullbacks, but definitely a little bit of consolidation, right? We had a pretty good one here. I'm going to go ahead and highlight here for you, right there. Let's just do the last few of them. And then, of course, that one. Okay, so then I'll now highlight these on the chart, right? We've got this one, we've got this one, and then we'll zoom in on the chart. And this will just take a sec there. There we go. Okay, so let's minimize the MACD and take a look. So last few times we had a bearish MACD cross. This was probably one of the more extreme ones. We had a pretty big sell-off that lasted about a month. We had payday cycles to the downside that lasted 5, 6, 7 days. Okay, this one we also had a big, huge move to the downside, but then a little bit of compression following. Same thing here, same thing here. A little bit of selling, but mostly compression. Okay, so the last few times the MACD went to the downside, we did get a little bit of compression. And then one of the times we had a pretty significant pullback. Okay, it definitely means that we generally don't go up a lot, right, when this is the case. So when we're looking at the stock right now, and we kind of take a look at a little bit of its channel, let's take a look at that now. I'm going to clear these drawings and kind of open this up. Where would you think that Apple would pull back to if it does pull back? Well, the first kind of point I'm thinking right now is this upward breakout. So we had this huge breakout down here at 375. I know it's a pretty big drop, right? About 40 or 50 points from the top. The first point of support, though, is a little bit higher at 300. So there you have it. Two huge places of support, right at 300 and again at 275. I know that's a long ways down from where we are right now, but again, with the market volatility, I wouldn't be surprised if we gap down tomorrow. Now, here's the thing. Let's see how fast we recover from this, because that's always the signal, right? If it recovers quickly, we're still bullish. If it doesn't and only compresses and keeps selling, then you start to look for some lower targets. The MACD is already bearish, and again, that usually stays bearish for at least a couple weeks, so have some caution out there. Now, a couple other things I want to highlight. Now, over the last year, we've obviously been super bullish. We just did a back test here of the MACD. The MACD, as we can see, is a longer indicator, right? When we look at the MACD a little bit longer, I'll actually put the shading on for you. Okay, so this actually shades for you on the chart when the MACD was crossed to the bulls. You can see longer time frames. Now let's jump over to our options backtester and take a look at a couple strategies, because most people might think that perhaps a very long-term strategy would be the better one for Apple's MACD. So let's go ahead and load up just some calls. We're going out of the money by one strike, and we're going 30 days out. Now, this strategy has obviously had insane, performance, right? Made about $8,000 if you just bought and sold. We're using one contract. If you use 10 contracts or 20, right? It's a lot of money. It's about $80,000 with only 10 contracts. Now let's go ahead and see how this changes when you go farther out in time. So I'm going to go ahead and change this from 30 to 90, from 1 month to 3 months, and you can see it drop by $12,000 with your 10 contracts. So I know a lot of people think buying more time is better. It's certainly more conservative, but you don't get that same kind of acceleration in the price of your option when you're right, when you buy more time. You actually, in this case, would have outperformed buying only 30 days. So very interesting, right? A very interesting study. Part of the reasoning, too, is that Apple's had some tremendous moves over the last year. Now, this is why having data is so important, because commonly when we start to think about trades and strategy and strategy development and how we're going to structure our trades, meaning strike prices, expirations, things like that, we come to assumptions of what we think would probably be the best thing. But Wall Street AO, the platform I'm on right now, actually allows us to go through those scenarios in the backtesting environment, right, and actually look at real-time results of it. It's pretty cool. This gives you that nice educated perspective where you have the data about the strategy before you even trade it. It's pretty cool stuff. Quick reminder, we're working on some really cool advanced exit conditions right now. I'm actually beta testing them for our strategies, which include take profits if it goes up 10 or 20%, it's going to be up to you. Sell if it goes down, and we're also working on a trailing stop. Right now I'm beta testing it, which is so cool, on our backtest tab, and then we're also building it for the options. So what that means is we're really close to probably deploying something either at the end of January or the first week or two of February for advanced exit conditions. This is going to be a free feature for everybody who's already a member. This is our way of saying thanks, obviously. Continue to develop the platform, make it awesome for everybody. I hope you enjoyed this quick update. This is Michael Lamar, and I'll see you on the inside.